Hello everyone, this is Haotian from the Hong Kong University of Science and Technology. I'm glad to share a paper, Structure-Aware Visualization Retrieval. Nowadays, there are a large number of visualizations that are created and shared online using vector graphics, such as SVGs. As a result, the need of conducting visualization retrieval is growing. According to a previous study, the common approaches for visualization retrieval include retrieval by definition and retrieval by example. Retrieval by definition means the user can define some criteria to search for visualizations, such as the chart type, while retrieval by example means the user can search for similar visualizations using a given example. Our paper focuses on improving the methods for retrieval by example. In the approaches for visualization retrieval by example, the core problem is how to precisely define the similarity between visualizations. One approach to define the similarity between visualizations is to check if the raw data has similar distributions or trends. Perceptual similarity mainly refers to the similarity of visualizations perceived by users. Without the requirement of raw data, the perceptual similarity is easier to be obtained for retrieval. Existing methods to compute the perceptual similarity between visualizations mainly rely on visual features, such as color histogram or features extracted by deep learning models. These features are at the level of pixels. However, unlike bitmap images, visual elements in visualizations are critical when characterizing the similarity between visualizations. In our paper, we propose to utilize structural information in visualizations when characterizing perceptual similarity. Structural information here refers to the hierarchical and spatial relationship of visual elements, such as the grouping of visual elements and the distance between two elements. Such information can provide another perspective to precisely describe the similarity between visualizations. For example, when the leftmost grouped bar chart is used for query, the model that only considers visual information returns the visualization in the orange box, since they have similar trends of data. Obviously, the model fails to consider the grouping of visual elements and returns a bar chart with only one group of bars. If the structural information is taken into consideration, the retrieved visualization will also be a grouped bar chart, which matches the query one better. This example clearly shows the necessity of considering structural information. In our paper, we present a structure-aware approach to utilize both structural and visual information for visualization retrieval. In our method, the input is an SVG-based visualization. To utilize structural information and visual information, we transform the visualization to a graph of visual elements and a bitmap. Then the graph of visual elements is fed into a graph neural network model. The output embedding vector serves as a representation of the structural information. Similarly, the rendered bitmap image is encoded by a convolutional neural network model. When the embedding vectors of both visual and structural information are ready, they are normalized and concatenated to be the final representation of the visualization. After all visualization's final vectors are obtained, we use the cosine similarity between two embedding vectors to measure the similarity between two visualizations. In our approach, we use a GNN encoder and a CNN encoder to get the representation of visualizations. To train the models, we apply contrastive learning, a type of unsupervised learning. The basic idea behind it is to train a model which can discriminate similar and dissimilar transformed samples. After training, only the encoder is kept for generating embedding vectors. Before designing our structure-aware approach, we surveyed the criteria of judging similarity with 54 participants with basic visualization knowledge by asking them to write down their own criteria. According to the collected responses, we identified the three most frequent criteria: the type of visualization, the trend of data, and the number of visual elements. These criteria guide the design of our approach and the evaluation as well. To evaluate our approach, we compared the performance of our approach and baselines when performing top K visualization retrieval. We found that structural information is quite useful in reducing the difference of numbers of visual elements and improving the consistency of chart type. To further evaluate our approach, we recruited 50 participants with basic visualization knowledge. They were asked to score the similarity between query visualizations and retrieved visualizations by different approaches. The results show that our approach outperforms baselines. Here are two cases that appeared in our user study. The cases confirm the findings in our quantitative comparison. For example, we noticed that if only real information is applied, scatter plots can be confused with line charts. Furthermore, we also observed that real information can reflect the trend of data better. Such findings indicate that we need to combine structural information with real information for visualization retrieval. Finally, we would like to briefly summarize the lessons we learned and discuss the generalizability of our approach. The first lesson we learned is the necessity of structural information. The structural information in visualizations provides a unique perspective to characterize visualizations at the level of visual elements. We have also been aware that when we apply deep learning models to visualization-related tasks, certain customization is important. For example, in contrastive learning for bitmap images, flipping is a common operation for generating transformed examples. However, flipping is not a suitable operation for visualizations since it can totally change the trend of data. Our approach can also be generalized to other single-view visualizations if some criteria are fulfilled, such as the unified structure of visual elements. When it is applied to multi-view visualizations, the spatial and hierarchical relationship of views should also be considered. Here are some take-home messages. First, we identified that structural information at the level of visual elements is necessary for visualization retrieval. Second, we would like to share that it is necessary to customize the deep learning models when applying them to visualization-related tasks. And finally, in the future, it is interesting to discover if our structure-aware approach can also be applied to bitmap-based visualizations. That's the end of my presentation. Thanks for listening.